Hello, everyone. We're live in Arlington, Texas. It is Scotty Braun, Erik Kratz, and JJ Cooper, and I'll intro our guest in just a second. This is Baseball America Hot Sheet, a very, very special edition, prospect pad style. We're going to talk to some of the top prospects in the sport that are going to be featured in the Futures game tomorrow. We're starting out hot with Tre Morgan joining us right now on the show. Trey, great to see you, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great to have you on. So first off, tell me what the first few hours of your experience here has been like, including the free swag.
Yeah, I mean, walking into this hotel and seeing how they decorated the place and all the people. I mean, CC Sabathia was sitting on the sofa just out there in the lobby, just hanging out. Yeah, I was like, man, that's so cool. But then walking, seeing all the prospects that, you just see videos of all over social media, interacting with everybody, and just walked through, got some free gear, which was pretty awesome, all the pictures. So this is definitely surreal.
The other thing about it, though, is so your teammate,
right?
Your national championship teammate, he got a little news today, too.
Yeah.
So CC's sitting there,
right.
But you find out today, Paul Skenes, National League starter. How amazing is this that y'all are dogpiling just a couple of weeks ago, a year ago?
Yeah.
And here he is. He's starting the All-Star game.
I mean, that's awesome for him. He's definitely living the dream right now. He's living it for sure.
But you're living it too. Because here, I mean, what is it like to know, hey, I'm going to the Futures game in your first full pro year?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a goal of mine going into the season. So being able to be here and have a spot in the game and in the skills competition after is pretty cool.
What are you doing in the skills competition? Because this is the only reason I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
I want to see the skills competition.
I mean, it's a little bad in practice thing that I'm trying to go all out for sure.
You going to bunt?
I might bunt one, get a little feel for it, just in case there's some butterflies.
Have they told you the parameters and like what you have to do, and have you been practicing
at
your team?
Man, I've seen, all the stuff that all the rounds, the 3 rounds, and I did have one little practice session back at home, aiming my shots a little bit, and it went well. So I'm trying to take that into the competition.
I like that.
So I got to ask you, this time, a little bit before this time last year,
right?
You're a key part, LSU win the national championship. You had a play.
Right.
You had a moment in that will be part of College World Series history for the next 100 years.
Yeah.
Everyone watching that goes, wow, that's amazing. How did he do that?
Yeah.
But you're not the normal first baseman.
Right.
Was that just something, off the fly, or was that something that was just another play for you? A routine? Like, is that something you had practiced?
Yeah, I'd say that play particular, I've done probably thousands of times. I did thousands of times that year from, the practices leading up to the season and every practice we had during the season. That's how we started our days. That's how we finished our days. So it's funny that our season was on the line for a play that we practice in the blistering heat thousands of times that at some points I didn't feel like doing, I'm drenched in sweat. I'm like, dude, they don't bunt. This is the SEC. Right. Nobody bunts. So it's funny that, that play saved the season.
So when that happens, is there any moment of like, oh crap, they're coming to me? Or is it like, no, come to me?
Oh no, when that ball's, when that play is put on, I'm 100% expecting that ball to come right to me. If you rewatch it, if he swings there, I'm dead. Yeah, dead. I'm dead because I'm right up on him.
They're just carting you off and putting the next stud at first base. Like,
right,
hey, you were good, but you're dead now.
Because by the time he bunted the ball, man, I was 30 feet away from him, and it just came. He hit it right in the breadbasket. So catch, flip to home.
Catch, flip. Horizontal.
Oh yeah, all out. One for the theatrics for sure.
So this right now, last I checked, minor league batting lead. You've had a great season so far.
He knows.
He knows. But we got one of your teammates.
Yeah, right over there.
It's a little friendly. I imagine it's a little rivalry though. That like you got, hey, it's either going to be someone's got to wear the crown. It's either going to be you, Chandler Simpson, who we may talk to in a couple minutes here. But how does it feel like when you have that, when you get your feet on the ground in pro ball by tough game? But when you're going 1 for 3, 2 for 4 every night, makes it a little easier, I would imagine, to adjust to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've dealt with a bunch of failure up to this point in my early career already. Me and Chandler were joking. There was a stretch not too long ago that I think it was like 2 for 22 or something. And he's like, Trey, you're slipping. You're falling down a little bit. And I was like, yeah, man, I'm not seeing it good. He was like, it's all right. I mean, tomorrow you're going to go 5 for 5. Like, that's just kind of how it goes. And we push each other.
You had a week.
And then I had a crazy week.
He had a month in a week. That wasn't even like, do you feel like that's – do you feel like you have to pinch yourself during those weeks, or do you feel like, no, this is who I am? Like, this is who I am. It's time to move me up. Like, I need a better league. Not being conceited when you say that, because we always joke about that in the minor leagues. Like, what's the next league? And then when dudes like do what Paul Skenes is doing in the big leagues, it's like, when's Paul Skenes going to get called up?
Yeah.
He needs to get called up. How do you look at that when you're sitting there like having that week that you had? I wish I had the numbers in front of me of what you did. It was. Yeah,
I mean, I'd say it's what you prepare for, right? Like, it's what you do in batting practice. Like, you're not preparing to
but
get
you don't
out.
even hit that good in batting practice sometimes.
That is true. I mean,
like,
I was finding some holes that week. There was one. I think it was my last at bat of that week that they had a tough little closer up there who was up to 100 with a slider. He only had 2 pitches, but one was 100. And he never threw the 100. So it's like you're always expecting 100, and he was throwing the slider. And then I got to a little 3-2 count, and he threw one 100, but it was like a ball. So I did like a little check swing, dribbled all the way to third base, got a single. I was like, yeah, I'm living right. I'm living
that's good that you can see
now.
that. It's good that you can see that. Do you feel like being in school and then going to the minor leagues, do you feel like you were already prepared for the minor leagues?
I'd say it was definitely an advantage. Dealing with, obviously, knowing how to deal with failure.
Everybody deals with failure.
Right, but
somebody from Georgia State Southern Community College deals with failure.
Georgia College representative.
Middle Georgia College. There you go.
Yeah, but also this was high pressure, high level.
I mean, it's
I
playing.
get it, but failure is failure.
That's true.
Failing in the College World Series is still failing at low A. It's still like an out is an out. You need to feel the same. Like, I came from Eastern Mennonite University, a Division III school.
Yeah.
So I know about failure. I played 8 years in the minor leagues.
Gotcha.
How much more does the SEC prepare you for the minor leagues? Because I don't think our game, Major League Baseball, sells their college football the same way that NFL sells their minor league. You follow what I'm saying?
I do. I get what you're saying. And I'd say the pressure that is put on us, I mean, I can only speak from the SEC
no doubt.
because that's all I know.
That's all you know.
Yeah. So I'd say when you're up there in a big spot and you're playing in front of, I'd say 11,000 on a Friday night, everybody's clapping and you swing through it and you strike out and you just hear the collective, oh, that's kind of like a rock bottom moment. But having to deal with that and then, I still got to go play defense. Like,
it's only the third.
Yeah, it's like it's only the third. They expected me to hit a grand slam just now, but I struck out. How am I going to bounce back from that? And that's definitely what prepared me for the next level. Because, I mean, being able to fail in Omaha or at that stage in front of 10 to 13,000, I mean, in low A, you play in front of like 20 people sometimes.
For sure.
So you strike out.
Kratz play because I didn't,
Florida State League. One time we counted there was 36 people in the game.
Right.
Florida State League used to be high A.
Okay.
And so you would just roast. It was a Florida roast league.
Yeah.
And the Gulf Coast, like you're just cooking in the stands. And there's 36 people, including scouts and 2 of our pitchers that were holding the radar gun
back then.
Back then, like charting all the pitches. But
that's where you learned math, right?
That's where you learned math.
I was like, ready? Boop, boop, boop. Well, we're gonna nicely let your teammate roll through here too as well. So Chandler's gonna come through, dude. Awesome to have you on here.
What should we ask him?
Oh yeah.
Ask him.
Help us out.
Be like,
he doesn't look like he's somebody that needs to be like opened up. Like I think he's.
Oh yeah, he's good. Just ask him hit. It's like you steal all these bases, right? But it doesn't look like you get the best jumps.
Okay.
How do you steal all these bases? Yeah, ask him that.
Yeah. Will that get
Because
him
that's
Baseball America
that's a
write-up.
joke. That's a joke I give him. I'm like, dude, if I got the jumps you got, I'd be out by like 30 feet.
That's
So
good.
you're just stealing because of your speed.
Right.
Okay. I like that.
That's really good. That's good. Hey, awesome to have you.
Yeah,
Really appreciate
thank
the
you.
time.
Thank
Thank you for joining
Gotcha.
us. Have fun in the
Thanks,
game
man.
tomorrow. The whole deal. Tre Morgan joining us from the Rays, Oregon. We're going to get, his teammate Chandler Simpson coming up in just a minute. And we're staying here. We're staying here the whole way through.
That's what we're doing.
No commercials.
Just real.
I'm going
just
to
YouTube.
jump in because, again, we're going to see this play out the rest of the year. The thing we didn't get to a Trey is also first base. You normally talk about first base and you say, okay, a guy plays first base, right?
Sure.
That's a shortstop who plays first base. You saw it in College World Series, but that's an 8. That is a guy who you can put him in the outfield. He can play the outfield. But why would you want to when you've got a guy who can make an impact over and over, at first base?
I watched to jump in on that while we're getting Chandler in. I watched him take ground balls one time. You guys had a video that you put up, and it was him taking ground balls, and I think it was in Omaha. And just the way that he moves to get different balls, every ball he fielded was hip high. Always hip high, to the point where he would charge, hip high. He would step back, it was hip high. Like, it was incredible, and I think it's such an underrated skill because a good first baseman makes the rest of the infield elite.
How is that breakdown? Chandler Simpson from the Rays org joining us right now. How was that breakdown of Trey Morgan? Did he nail it?
Yeah, it looked good. He always look good.
Because I was going to say, because you also know, because you used to be an infielder.
Yeah.
You're an outfielder now, but you've played, what a first baseman can do for you.
Yeah, I got my fair share of infield time, so yeah.
But how do you like outfield now? Because now you're a full-time outfielder. Does it feel comfortable yet, or is it still getting there?
I'm still learning. It's my second year, so just still trying to learn, ask questions, be open, have an open mind, because it's definitely a lot more I could, improve on doing. So, but it's definitely fun. I love being out there in the grass.
Yeah, because you get to work on your swing in between at bat. You're like,
right.
Like in the infield, you can't be doing that.
Right,
kind of
no,
stuff.
you got to be locked in.
As a catcher, I always was so jealous of the outfielders. They're out there like this. They're like working on whatever. But when we have guys come on, we want to break them in with like a fun question. Your guy, he left, so he's not even going to be here for us to answer it.
He'll watch it later.
Tre Morgan was like, I said, what should we ask you? And he said, why don't you get good jumps when you're stealing? He said, you steal all these bases.
I think he cried a little. Like, I think he shed a tear, too. He was getting emotional about it.
He was. He was like,
He said he would steal 80 if he had you.
Yeah.
But he would steal 10 if he had
Right.
you.
Get double digits. So why he doesn't get good jumps?
Why you don't?
No,
why I don't
He
get
gets
good
jumps. But
He
you're
said
so fast.
He said you steal 90 bases, but you don't even get good jumps. Like, imagine if you got good jumps.
I get good jumps. I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey, I'm just saying.
We
what
wanted
he
to
said.
get a good reply. If you have a rebuttal, that works. If you want to point something out about his game, we're here for it.
Why I don't get good jumps? Yeah, I have no answer. I feel
Or
like
you
I
can
get
clap
good
back
jumps.
at him.
Obviously, he's messing with you.
Trey,
Like, what would be something you give him crap for?
I say, why doesn't he steal more bases?
If he's this athletic first baseman,
Right?
why
Yeah,
isn't he?
you might as well get some bags too.
Tell him, get off those.
Come on, Trey, run.
Yeah, one time, take a steal sign.
Exactly. Get a green light.
Get a green
When
light.
you have a red light, don't worry about it. Just run.
They don't ever give you the red light, do they?
No,
Not
never.
one time. You haven't looked over and they're like 3-1, 3-2.
Well, I mean, I know to be smart in that situation, so I'll just let the hitter hit. But
But you've never
nah,
You've never gotten a red light?
I'll never look over.
Oh, you don't even look over?
No, not really. They really tell me that I have a green light, so
Like for life.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, hey, you have that many bags. You
I was
have
going to say, did you ever get a green light?
I had the green light a decent amount. If the guy was
Really?
a 1.55 or higher, I could run. That's all I needed.
That sounds good. That's a good time.
Okay, that's
He's
a
like,
good
time.
question.
Mhm.
Is there a pitcher out there you're like, okay, as fast as I am, this guy's, he's slide step, he's 1-1, he's mixing it up.
Right.
I'm just going to stay here. Is there anyone you're like, okay, you got me this time because you're that, like Because they know. I mean, no one. You're standing on first. They're never like, oh, I'm going to go as big as I can. I mean, they know they're all speeding up. But are there guys you're like, okay, I got to respect that this pitcher knows what he's doing, or is it something where, no, I'm still going.
I can't think of a specific pitcher, but I mean, if the pitchers are like when they get down to like 1-0s, 1-1s, maybe a 1-2, but I feel like 1-2-5 is like my time where I feel like I can get off. Maybe depending on the catcher, if the catcher is not too good, but I feel like 1-2-5. But below that, I'm shutting it down.
Which is easier, stealing second or stealing third?
Stealing second is easier for me because it's really reactionary. It's just pick up his leg, go. When it's still in third, it's like you got to go off of a head look or head nod, or you kind of got to get some momentum to go. You can't really just straight steal. So yeah, still in second for sure.
Who's your guy that you grew up watching that you're like?
I love watching Billy Hamilton and D. Gordon. I love watching them. Yeah.
Can you be better than them? I don't mean steal more bases.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying the other stuff.
I feel like so. I mean, I continue to put in the work in, stay disciplined, keep working hard. Yeah, I feel like I can do anything.
Those guys also didn't have what we're experiencing now, the rule changes.
That's why I said don't even worry about the stolen bases.
Right.
You're going to blow past that.
Yeah, the number's not the same. I'm sure you track, say, an Ellie De La Cruz right now and what he's doing, right?
Yeah, 45 for the break. Crazy.
Right.
On pace for 80. Yeah, that's going to be wild.
He's sitting here. Hey, Ellie, hold my 63 with your 45.
Hold my base.
I will ask you that, though, because I was covering Billy when he was doing the minors. 155.
Yeah, I asked him about that, too.
How crazy is 155?
Yeah, that's insane. Especially without the rule changes. Like, I was like.
Without the rules changes.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine that? Like, because, again, can you imagine what your body feels like doing that?
Yeah, I can't imagine. He had to be getting them bit. He had to be running every single time, every single game. Like, yeah, that's insane. I asked him about it. I was like, what was going on? He was just like, I was just running.
Oh, crazy legs, Billy.
Right on, yeah.
He was getting it.
Yeah, he was getting to it.
But we don't want to just ask about stolen bases. Because also, you're talking about Division I batting champ, Georgia Tech. I've been doing the research. I've only can find one guy who's won a Division I batting title. I haven't found anyone who's done the minor league batting title, which you're battling for this year. But there's one, Buster Posey, Division I, big league.
Really?
But no one in the minors in the last 40 years.
Okay.
At the plate, I know people hear your speed and all. Again, I enjoy geeking out watching how you hit. It's not just, I'm laying down bunts and all. It's what's the game within the game when you're at the box? When you're standing in the box, what is it that's the difference between a good at-bat for you and one where you're like, I got to do that better than that?
I say the difference between good at-bat, bad at-bat. Well, I mean, it is a chess match. Like, I mean, the bunt works to my advantage. Like, it gets the third baseman coming in, and that opens up that 5-6 hole for me. So, like, if he's playing back, I haven't shown the bunt or whatever, try to show a bunt, get him to come in, and then that opens that hole up bigger for me. So, just making sure I'm standing through the middle of the field to the left side. I mean, that's where my money's at. So, like, rollovers, flyouts, all that stuff, that's negative in my opinion.
What is it like when you just hit a ball to the third baseman, hit a ball to the shortstop, and you're standing on first a single? That's got to be the cool. I mean, I got to imagine what that feels. It's got to be like you're in their head at that point. It's like the first inning you do that. Think about what do I got to do? Like, I mean, I did everything right here, and that happens. I've seen it. That happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's pretty cool. Just they have the ability to hit a ground ball, get a hit, just stay in their head, keep them guessing. Have them all over the place so they don't know how to defend me, and just keep rocking with it.
Obviously, you're still far from the big leagues, but you're way closer than you were at the beginning of the season when you were in high A.
Right.
You look at a play like Dave Roberts stealing that base in 2004 with the season on the line.
Right.
End up going to win do you feel like you're in a headspace right now that you could go to the big leagues and steal a base? Because I ask that because we don't win the 2014 AL American League Championship with the Royals or the World Series in 15 without guys like Terrence Gore.
Right.
I'm not saying you're Terrence Gore. I'm saying that a stolen base in the playoffs on any given night can put a ring on that thing.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to do that?
I feel like I am. I mean, that was a goal for me to come in this year. It was a little bit talk about it last year. Like I was getting up there in bags, and people were coming to me. It was like, you could be ready in the playoffs, get your name called, and then I ended up going to the offsite when they was in the wild card. So going into this year, I wanted to be prepared to play up until October, November, where they just call my phone at the end of the year. Well, definitely take care of my business during the season, but get my bags during the season, show that I can steal in big time situations in the minor leagues, and they can be like, okay, this can translate. Boom, at the end of the year, when the season over, they call my phone like, Chandler, we need you. Boom, I can go do it.
Okay, you're ready. Now
Yeah.
the last question, real quick.
Mhm.
Next person on is, your roommate. What we got to ask Spencer, because we
Draft
did this.
combine roommate, right?
Combine roommate.
Yeah, draft combine roommate. What we got
That's
to
crazy
ask
that
him?
y'all know that.
Does he
but-
snore?
Does he snore?
Is there something crazy we should ask him before he comes on here?
Hmm.
Or you don't know him like that?
I don't know him like that, but maybe.
Anything crazy? Like, does he sleep with a teddy bear?
Yeah, I was about to say, would he
It's cool if he does. I slept with my bat.
teddy bear? Does he sleep with a teddy bear? Yeah. Ask him that.
Ask him that?
Yeah, ask him that.
Okay. I like it.
Ask him that.
Well, great to have you on. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it,
thank you.
Chandler. Have an absolute time at the
Appreciate
game
y'all.
tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
And I would have thrown you out if I was still playing. I'm just saying.
I can't even. Nah.
Yep.
Not with a
Check it
pitcher.
out.
Not with a pitcher that's
Hey, if they
One.
give me a 1-2-5, I'm there. I got you. I might not even get up.
Good luck.
Just
There's
from
like
my knees.
five dudes like that.
Okay. I mean, you gonna have to take
He'd have to be like
unnecessary
this.
circumstances to get me out. I mean, that's
Safe.
fine, but I'm still get in there safe though.
Maybe a pitch out.
I got you.
Thank you, Chandler.
For sure,
Thank you,
appreciate it.
That's what I want. I was afraid of scaring Chandler with
Yeah.
how much I've been geeking out over his season.
Yeah.
So they've thrown over to pick him off, right? Because
Yeah.
he's the fastest dude in baseball, right?
Right.
They've thrown over. One time they've been picked off this year. 4 times when they tried to pick him off,
Okay.
they threw away. He got second. Twice he got second. Twice he got third. So when you try to pick Chandler Simpson off, you're more likely that he's going to end up standing on third than you're going to pick him off.
The numbers say it's not worth it.
It's just
Leave him alone.
throw a strike.
And I found 77 times this year where he was standing on first with second open. I think the number was 53 of those times he was standing on second.
Wow.
Again, it's fun to watch.
Hey, you're speaking my language, JJ. I love speed, and I want more of it in the game, and more of it is coming, and that is the perfect example. Coming up next, we'll have Spencer Jones. You'll get some speed, but you'll also get some
Speed
pop.
and power.
Yes, you will get that combination, and you will get size, which is a big topic of conversation, obviously, in the last few years, too. It doesn't matter what size you are. You can play wherever you want to play on the
Hey,
field.
good to see
So
you.
here we go. We'll get Spencer
Well,
ready
boss.
in just a second. What's going on? We'll get you a
Cool.
mic so the world can hear you.
So people can hear that illustrious voice,
Yes.
silky smooth, not just good looks. Silky
I was going
smooth
to say
voice.
we've had SEC, we've had ACC, we've had SEC again.
Yes.
You know,
So what are you saying?
We're getting the big schools.
You saying
we're
that
getting-
people can't go to the Futures game without going to one
no,
of those?
apparently not.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I
It's
get
all
it.
about Vandy and
I get
LSU.
it. I get
but it is right
JJ.
now. So let's talk to Spencer Jones joining us in the New York Yankees system, currently in Somerset, which is a spot we were at not too long
Mhm.
ago. We spent some time there. I think it was before. Yeah, it was before
Before
he
he
got
got-
there.
yep.
Actually, you know where our big interview was back then? We spoke to Ben Rice.
Arroz.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Have you been tracking Ben Rice's status?
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite thing to do when I'm not at the field is checking up on him.
And what do you think?
He's been doing incredible, right? I think people are just starting to figure out the kind of ball player he's been and somebody that, I've been lucky enough to play with the last 2 years and see it firsthand. And I'm glad everyone gets to see that now.
It's kind of crazy because he's in the Yankee system, but I actually felt the same way. Like he wasn't getting hyped to the degree that his teammates were hyping him. Right?
Yeah, what's his name? Who was on? I forget what the pitcher
Chase
that was
Hampton.
on. Thank you.
Yeah.
They were like, who's the player that's surprising you or like
On
impressed
Somerset.
you on Somerset? And he goes, Ben Rice is the greatest hitter I've ever seen in my
Yeah,
life.
he did say that.
Literal quote, and I was like, come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth. Like the guy draws a lot of walks. He doesn't strike out. Hits the ball hard. And it's like, it feels like every single game he does something.
So he's perfect.
We love him.
So he's a perfect man.
I don't want to say he's perfect, but he's the best player I've ever
Okay,
played with.
okay.
This is a
One of
Baseball
'em.
America show. So JJ, we'll get to Spencer in a sec, but were you
We were-
guys tracking his teammate?
We were. I mean, he's
His
always been
future
top
teammate?
30, but we're light. We're light. Like he was like number 10 when he came up.
Okay.
So like the profile, we all, we get sucked in a little bit. I'll admit sometimes like guy with a little bit of a non-traditional profile at a bat first position.
Yes.
And then, but the great thing about it is
catcher.
he was a catcher, but now he's first base too.
No, he plays first. He's
I
a
know.
catcher.
But that was
He's
also,
an incredible catcher too.
Exactly. Come on, JJ. This is what I'm talking about.
See, but this is also, though, the thing that's awesome about it is, and we did talk about on the Hot Sheet show when Ben came up, it's cool when you see a guy get the opportunity and then he takes it, grabs it.
Right away.
Right. And speaking of that, like this weekend, this is an opportunity.
Absolutely.
How fun is this for you?
This is really cool. It's really, it's special to be able to do it for a second time. I was here last year, able to enjoy it, but I think doing it for the second time, it's like you can kind of relax a little bit and appreciate it for what it really is. Because the first time around, you don't really know what's going on. You're moving around, doing all these different things. And the second time, you're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. You know what I mean? I get to meet a bunch of people, hang out, reconnect, and just, enjoy the weekend.
So you're the vet here. So are you giving advice? Like, are dudes who are like, oh, wow, I get a Wilson glove. You're like, yeah, I've got 2 of them.
No.
I get a bat. Do you talk to guys? Obviously not as arrogantly as I just said, but do you talk to guys about that? And you're like, hey, guys, don't do all these pictures because they never show up anywhere. Like, do you have advice like that for guys?
One of my teammates, he was supposed to come out and he was asking me questions. I pretty much just told him to bring a bigger suitcase because he's going to get more backpacks than he thought he'd need.
That is what, when you are a 10-year vet in the show, that's what you're going to be imparting on guys. Like the hitting coach from the Rays, for me. We played together in the minor leagues. He was 10 years older than me. He's like, don't ever change and shower right after the game. He's like, wear your clothes, your undershirt, so when we come and have ribs, we had ribs that night, you can eat your ribs and you can just wipe them on your shirt and throw them on your clip. Like, that's knowledge. A bigger suitcase, your boy was going to bring some extra shoes. He was going to bring some extra jeans.
Right.
No, you're getting all that swag. It's good. I like that.
Absolutely.
So what was going through it last year? What was the moment that will stick with you from doing it last year?
I think it was just the experience of getting to meet people. You know what I mean? Like I was like in batting practice and it was like the first time I'd ever seen Dave Winfield. That was my mom's favorite player, right? She would tell me stories about him playing all the time growing up. And then, there I am, it's my turn next to hit and Dave's standing right outside the cage. I was like, oh, this is the greatest moment ever, right? And so, I was lucky enough to go say hi and we were able to talk a little bit. And then, fast forward to spring training, I run into him again and we're able to pick up that conversation. So it's been great.
And you can look him in the eye. Not many guys can do that, but you
we
can
were joking about that, yeah.
How much is it an advantage as a hitter, leverage, levers, and how much of it is like, okay, that you have to make allowances, you have to make adjustments for the fact. I mean, you are what you are, right? But like being, having long levers, being 6'7", like being that guy, is it like something where it's like, man, I wouldn't trade it for the world? Or it's like, there's sometimes it'd be nice to, to have a little bit smaller strike zone.
No, I mean, I wouldn't change anything about how I am or how I'm built or, I'm comfortable in my body. I feel like players my size, there might be, some disadvantages some people might see, but for me as a player, it's all I've ever known. And I just want to take advantage of my frame and, what I can do on a baseball field.
Do you feel like when a hitting coach who is not large comes up to you and is like, hey, you should do this, you're like, it's not going to work out for me. You know what I mean? Do you have to filter that out? Because I think a lot of coaching is filtering out what doesn't work for Spencer Jones may work for somebody else.
Right. Well, as you learn things along the way, it's kind of like in one ear, out the other, but at the same time, you got to retain some of the information, right? So it's like you're going to learn something in every conversation. You're going to, pick up things or pick up perspectives you haven't thought of before, and then you can just apply that to what you already know. So
it was 1 year ago you were in Seattle for this. Here we are, we're in Texas. How are you a better player now? How are you like where you can look at it and say, this is something, because you're always trying to improve, but here it's a year later, and I know that I'm better at this. I've gotten better, whether it's physical, mental, or whatever. But what is it that you're like, I feel good about the fact that I've made progress in that the past year?
Yeah, I feel like I'm just more comfortable with the routine and more comfortable with the process. Taking it all in the first year, like I said before, it kind of moves quickly and you kind of go about doing things for the first time. And
I'm talking about you're just where you are as a player now. Sorry.
Okay.
Like a year later, like as a hitter or as a fielder or whatever, are you a better player now? Do you feel like, and what is it that you're better at now than you were at this time last year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm a much better all-around player. I feel like I've gotten a lot better, reads in the outfield. My swing, as it's continuing to develop, but at the same time, I feel like I'm putting myself in good positions to hit. And base running wise, I feel like my aggressiveness has ticked up. I've learned a lot about base stealing in the last year, and it's something that I like applying. And it's overall been great. I feel like I've just evolved as a baseball player.
There's things always as a player that are outside of your control, and it's like, control the controllables, all that stuff. When you hear a report in the offseason that you are not going to be traded for this ex superstar, this Cy Young, do you gain confidence from that? A little bit, like kind of like, yeah, like I got invited to this futures game, and they think this much of me up in the league, because that's where you want to get to. Like they think that highly of you. How do you deal with that, or how does that make you feel, and how do you deal with it?
Right. I mean, it's a good feeling to be held in that regard from, the ownership standpoint and management, and that they believe in me. And I think that's the biggest thing. For me, I don't really, take too much stock in it. Like during the off season, obviously I'm focused on what I can do and what I like, the work that's in front of me there. But I'm not, on the Twitter boards worrying about this, that, or whatever. I'm more so focused on what I have to do. It's cool to hear, and, people can talk, but at the end of the day, it's, you got to get your work done.
Does it, as a hitter, your background, I mean, it wouldn't have been a surprise 10 years ago. We would be talking like, hey, we're going to see it at the future game, but you have been pitching. Like that was a possibility. Does it help you as a hitter that you had that time, you understand the mentality also of how difficult it is and everything that is involved with being a pitcher?
I wouldn't say that it's given me, I'm trying to find the best way to describe it. I didn't feel like I was as advanced as a pitcher as, I would have liked to believe, or others would have liked to believe. But, just being in a clubhouse with a lot of, these great pitchers that I do play with, understand the work that they put in, how committed they are to, what they do every single day. It's something that, I try and pick their brains, as, every hitter does, talking to pitchers, trying to learn different things. And a lot of my friends in the off season, a majority of them are pitchers. So I just get to sit there and learn as much as possible. And, it's a learning opportunity every day. So
played with a lot of guys in the minor leagues who were pitchers, the opposite, and they'd watch us hit, and we're hitting 230, 220, and they'd be leaning back in the bullpen. I could do this. Now, you said you weren't as advanced, but I saw what you did. You came from a pitching factory at Vanderbilt. Is there a part of you that's like, I could go out there and get 3 outs in this inning, and this guy can't even hit the broadside of a barn right now?
Well, I mean, pitchers are so good now. You know what I mean? They've got all the pitch shapes. They know exactly what they're doing. They're all dialed in.
Yeah, but it's not throwing strikes.
Right. I wasn't very good at that.
Okay, so that was honest,
so I wasn't very good at that one.
Bad by me. I
You were projectable. Yeah, you were projectable.
Projectable. I got you. Okay, that's fair. So that doesn't apply then.
Okay, we'll do it to you now. We talked about like this time last year, Ben Rice was the guy. It's like, I'll put it to you, give it to you kind of 2 options. Who's the guy that you play with? Who's the teammate? Who's the guy you play with, spring training or whatever, that we're not talking about enough? Or the flip side of that, if you want to, is who's the pitcher you faced that's like, man, if I never have to see that dude again, I'll be happy. I'll be happy.
Right. I mean, this guy's burst on the scene this year is Agustin Ramirez. He's had an incredible season. He's a catcher, hits the ball hard everywhere he plays. We knew that last year. He came up and played with us in Hudson Valley, absolutely mashed in high A, got himself up to Double A pretty quick, and then to start this year, he's hitting the ball out of the yard more than anybody. So he's one of those guys that I feel like you guys are going to watch hit for a long time.
That's awesome. Yankees just produce catchers. That's what they do. I mean, there's 4 catchers that were in the lineup. One was playing third. Ben Rice was playing first. Someone else was playing. Did Augustine come up last year to Somerset at all?
The end of the year.
I think he had just gotten there when we were there, and they were like, "Oh, this dude, like." I think he was catching that night, and the other catcher was DHing.
Sounds about right. Yeah. I mean, I think we have 3 or 4 catchers right now in Somerset too. All great hitters. So
That's like the Padres with shortstops.
Padres with shortstop.
Yeah.
That's a big league team with shortstops. Sorry, you can't make it. You can't make the Padres. You have to be a shortstop.
Yeah.
You have to be a shortstop.
The Reds
Two
had
players.
that with which position?
They had shortstops too.
They had
shortstop.
shortstops. Yeah, because McLean,
certain
Ellie.
orgs like they just
Before that,
Steer.
there was a lot of dudes, but
Well, Spencer, awesome to have you here.
I appreciate you
the
guys.
time. Yeah, welcome
Appreciate it,
back.
of course. Thank you. Welcome back. And
Yeah,
again, you get to enjoy it.
Of course.
Yeah,
Second
yeah.
time,
Have
even.
have a good
Great.
time. Enjoy the skills competition
Yeah,
as
it'll
well.
Oh, wait,
A
are
little
you
added
doing one?
layer.
I don't think I'm in
I haven't
it.
No.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
going to enjoy it. That's for sure. I'm going to be.
Again,
I'm
you're
gonna
it's
be
history.
everybody
You're
on.
laying down a bunch.
You're going to be top stepping it.
Yeah,
Yeah, bunching.
it's-
I don't know if I'll do that. I don't know if I'll do that part.
never.
He's going to
But
get fired.
they've never done that. They've never done it. This is the
First
first
time?
year. They're
First
trying
time.
it out.
Right.
I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah,
to
I'm
see how it
excited for
goes.
it.
I want to see you hit dingers.
See me in batting practice.
Oh, and batting
Oh,
practice
yeah.
is going to be
Batting
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 practice.
practice is going to be fun.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
Batting
watch,
practice,
especially here.
You and Devison De Los Santos. I want to, that's what I'm looking forward to.
there you go.
Okay.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank
Okay,
you,
appreciate
Spencer.
it.
Good
Thank
to see
you
you.
very much.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, we'll
Got
keep rolling here on BA Hot Sheet Prospect Pad. We're in Arlington. We're talking to top prospects that you're going to see in the Futures game tomorrow. It's Erik Kratz. It's Scotty Braun. It's JJ Cooper. I am monitoring the chat, so if you do have questions, they don't just have to be for the players that we speak to. They can be questions about the draft. They can be questions about the Futures game, the whole deal. Okay? I'll kind of go dealer's choice here. JJ, would you like to spend some time going over mock draft 6.0 for BA or the Futures game?
Let's talk futures game first because
Okay.
we're going to do mock draft. I think we still have Carlos around. We got to bring him
Oh
on
yeah,
and talk that.
we'll
So let's do
we'll
that.
bring in a friend for
Yeah.
that part. All right,
Yeah.
so let's do a little comprehensive preview on the Futures game and what you're most excited about.
So okay, I want to get Eric's opinion on this because I've realized I think this is my 12th futures game in a row now, which is Jonathan Mayo's been to all but one. I give Mayo credit. Mayo's been to all but one now. But okay, when I think of them, a lot of the times the thing that's more than anything is BP. I remember Carlos Correa matching Miguel Sano swing for swing. That was when Sano was thought to be like the 80 power, 80 raw, 80 raw. And Carlos Correa was like, that dude's hitting it to the same part of the bark that, that was like eye-opening for me. And then it's like Joey Gallo putting on positively the greatest, display that I will ever see as a BP. Am I overthinking that? Or again, like that's just to me, like it's almost like a home run derby.
You're not overthinking it. That is when he said he's not in. When Spencer said he's not in the home run derby, I'm like, okay, well, maybe I'll watch BP and because in a game we're always about comparing people.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember last year you were like, when we were talking about the draft stuff, you were like, well, we don't want to put comparisons on everybody. That's what we do in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
We put comparisons on people. And when you have guys that are all equal age, but completely, as we look at the different guys,
Chandler Simpson, Spencer Jones back to back.
like
They're both great baseball players. They're very different.
completely different body type. And when you put them all in the same field, you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, wow, I had your example. I had Correa as a 60 power.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was wrong on Sano. Maybe
Sano's
he's more
80,
like
so
a
they correct-
75. But wait a minute, he's hitting it exactly. Is he an 80? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. So it's like, it's a. That is the best way is to get all these guys to the same place. It doesn't mean if you're not here, you're not making the big leagues. It just means that it's easy. It's great to compare them, and that's the time to do it.
And the other thing I would say about it is it's not just great to compare them, but it's also great to see how different guys, some guys, they open up here. And other guys, it's like, okay, this is pretty big for them, which may help them down the road. Hey, good to see you.
How are you doing? Good to see
Hey,
you.
good to see you too.
Old Marcelo Mayer. Now, last time I saw him, I was working for the Red Sox. He was just drafted, and he hadn't grown into his head yet. He hadn't lifted any. Your microphone's like up in your eye.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Here,
We're
we'll help
doing
you
it
out.
on the fly.
We're doing it on the fly.
Kratz.
Okay, it's the minor leagues.
Yeah.
There we go.
And now you have filled in
A little bit.
to your head.
It's not like.
I mean, it's
this,
not mine,
though.
but I
I mean,
noticed.
that's
I
not me.
noticed.
Yeah. What
Yeah,
do you?
7.58.
What are you at?
Head.
I knew it.
You're
I know.
7.58.
7.58.
Okay.
We're twins.
Yeah.
And I knew
I'm
that.
7.58 with the hair. With no hair, I'm probably 7.5.
You saying I'm bald?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, I
You
mean,
serious?
yes.
I just got it really tight here. You don't know what's underneath here. There's surprises.
It's like
I
marker.
have to before you nerd out on your Marcelo Mayer time. Okay, he's giddy. He's giddy because he's got Marcelo Mayer time.
He's got.
I have to
yes.
say, I worked for the Red Sox for like 3 seconds, and I gave a speech at their camp. Whatever they got drafted, I spoke about how like you have to give it your best, and like
Yeah.
I spoke from somebody that just ended playing, and you see what he's doing now, like with the eye contact, and like you really impressed me with how confident you were and yet engaged with the people around you in the sense of
Appreciate that.
your teammates, in the sense of listening to your coaches, which I was so impressed with being the 4th overall pick.
Yeah.
You don't always see that. Normally it's guys are disengaged and they're and to me, I told BA, Abe's at that time.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know if he's good at playing baseball or not, but he is going to be a good leader of the Red Sox minor leaguers coming up. And that's what I kind of talked about was hitch your trailer to dudes that want to win for the Red Sox or want to be big leaguers because everybody else sucks. And so I commend you, and I've watched you
Appreciate you.
since
Means
then.
a lot.
And so that's what impressed me about Marcelo.
That's the best intro ever.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh,
Thank
it's
you.
hard to follow.
Where do we
that
go
up.
from
Yeah,
there?
right?
Yeah, let's go
Well-
as batting average, extra and stuff like that.
Here's where I'm going to go with it. How much more fun is this year for you? I mean, because last year you gutted through it, but you were
Yeah.
kind of having to wear it a little bit because you weren't 100%,
Yeah.
and you were still trying to do it.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
I
much
mean,
more fun is it when you can show what you can do because you're physically closer. You're not. No one's ever 100%. But you're
Yeah,
closer
yeah.
to 100%.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome. Obviously, last year I battled with some injuries. I was young. I probably should have said something to the trainers, but I think it's a lesson learned. I think in every situation you could learn from it. And during that time, I really got to, learn about myself, learn about my body. So going into this year, I worked hard in the offseason, and then, knock on wood, I've been healthy ever since. But yeah, it's been great being able to be on the field. That's the biggest thing for me, just being on the field every single day and playing. I love the game so much that I just want to be out there. So that's kind of what happened last year with me dealing with injury. But yeah, it's awesome. The team we have, the coaching staff we have in Double A it's amazing.
You guys are loaded.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
Yeah.
got to be fun.
yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome.
I mean, that's got to be where you look at it. You're on teams like, hey, not everyone, never is, but a lot of us, we're going to be hopefully playing together, really short left field, really tall one, kind of green, in a couple of years, or maybe a year. But when you've got a team like that, you kind of want to have these teams where it's y'all are all together. And it's okay, you're in this journey together. I just got to imagine it's got to even add to it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I say it all the time. It feels like we're like a travel ball team that's just playing for 8 months because we have so much fun together on and off the field. We push each other extremely hard, and just the way we play the game so hard. We see that, kind of the way the Red Sox have been playing lately, running the bases extremely hard. It's extremely exciting to watch, and we've kind of adopted that in Double A, and we say dominate out of the box, and that's kind of what we've been doing, and ever since then, it's just been really fun baseball.
Do you get pissed off at people who don't fall in line?
Um,
Or do you don't get pissed off?
I think most of us fall in line pretty well. I think we're all pretty bought in. We all want to be big leaguers, so it's pretty easy.
I have a Red Sox question.
No, go ahead.
Do you see what they're doing?
As I said, yeah.
But I'm saying it was not only not expected what we're seeing this year from the Red Sox, but the pitching program has completely changed. I know that's not your department, but do you guys feel that at all?
Obviously, I'm not with the big league squad, but I think it all.
But on
comes
the development side
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
Craig Breslow comes in and he's like, "Hey, we're going to do things differently."
I think it all comes down to belief. I think the players in the big league club believe from the start, and I think it's shown up, in the way they've been playing. They've been playing the game extremely hard. They do the little things right, and I think it's translated into wins.
Does the mood? You're in Double A, but does the mood of a Double A team depend a little bit also on how the big league clubs? Because you are all Red Sox, even if you're not wearing Boston on the front right now. Does it is everything a little, everyone a little bit? Is it more? I would imagine it's more how how Portland's doing. But does it when you see them doing that? Does it make it everything a little bit cooler?
Of course. I mean, like I said, we see the big league team. We see the way that they've been playing the game, how hard they ran out of the box, and we're like, okay, when we get to the big leagues, we better be doing that too. Let's start doing it now. And we've been doing it, and it's been a great time. Even when you get out and you run hard out of the box, you feel good. So we've kind of been implementing that, and yeah, it's been great ever since.
I use this example. We were talking. Who were we talking? We talked to Chandler Simpson. I was talking about guys that are playing with now. I always go back to my 2014 Royals team 2015 and the Pirates teams of 2009 and 2010, those dudes came up together and were kept together to win. How much do you guys talk about winning in the minor leagues? Because my opinion is you win in the minor leagues together, you win in the big leagues together. I don't think it's by chance. I know that helps.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it definitely helps. And we do talk about it a lot. Obviously, it gets a little bit tricky with like the development and stuff. But for us, when we're on the field, like our one goal is to compete and to win. We're not really worried about development things for us, especially me personally. I feel like the way I was taught and raised how to play the game, if you play to win the game, you're going to do the right things and you're going to help the team win.
I'm going to put this a little bit on T for it because I think I know the answer. But, okay, if you're a casual fan, even a casual fan knows, okay, who Marcelo Mayer is, knows who Kyle Teal is, knows who Roman Anthony is. But you guys aren't just, I mean, there's more than that.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that it's like, wait, why aren't you talking about so-and-so on that team?
Yeah, I think you know who I'm going to say.
I think I know what you're going to say.
There's,
but
before,
I didn't want to take that one away because he's still emerging on the national scene.
Yeah. Before him, obviously there's, I think from the first player to the last player on our roster, we're extremely talented. And there's a lot of players.
Anyone.
Yeah, there's a lot of players who help our team win. But obviously Christian Campbell has been tearing it up.
He's a stud.
It's ridiculous. I mean, this was the first time I see him play, and he's been hitting 400 for literally 2 months now. And we're like, is this ever going to stop?
Seriously, 400?
He's like 410. And he hits the ball like 110 every time he gets up to bat. It's one of the most impressive things I've seen. He's a ridiculously good defender as well, super athletic. So, yeah, we have like a little joke in the clubhouse. We call him Barry Bonds. Just
what position does he play?
Everywhere.
Does he play shortstop?
Yeah, he plays shortstop too.
Whoa.
Hey.
Because I had this discussion with BA. I had this discussion with not BA, not Baseball America, Abe's, Brian Abraham. I said, good organizations platoon everybody. Great organizations have a guy like Marcelo Mayer at shortstop. Do you agree with that?
I'm not sure. I think obviously being versatile helps. Being able to play more than one position.
Who?
The team.
Okay.
So, for example, a guy like Campbell, he can play a lot of positions, right? So if you need him to play at third, he's going to play solid third. If you need him in center field, he's going to play solid center. So it's a good skill set to have. Not everyone has it, and for a player like him to have it, I think it's only going to help him.
What about a player like Marcelo Mayer?
I mean, obviously I want to be a shortstop,
but I think you should be. And I say that because so many teams talk about, this team is good. Okay, tell me how many championships they have. Okay, well, this team's really good. When was the last time they won a World Series? To me, if you don't have a catcher, a shortstop, and a center fielder, I'm not even counting you in the chance to win a World Series. And to me, as a player, that's what you should focus on. So if Marcelo Mayer becomes some second, some short, this is neat. He played third on a Thursday. To me, I feel like that's hurting you, which if something hurts you, it hurts the org's chance of winning a World Series.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense too. Obviously, catcher, shortstop, center field, premium positions.
Yep.
So for me as a shortstop, my role is to dominate shortstop, right? Like my biggest thing is I want to make sure that I'm playing clean shortstop for the team, trying to help the team win. Obviously, you don't want to get in there, play premium position, and be booting balls. So yeah, I think what you are saying makes sense, but I think there's two sides of it, But
I get it.
Me personally, I've played short my whole career. I've played like 2 innings at third base.
Because you're a big league shortstop.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, so for me, I'm just focused on getting as best as possible as I can at shortstop so I could help the team win when I get there.
You're also coming from the world of what was your best winning baseball? You're playing with Alcides Escobar, Lorenzo
Sick team,
Cain.
by the way. Sick team.
Like
Salvi was catching.
Like you talk about if you show me a World Series team that they were mid at any of those positions, I would love to hear it. Bring it on. Like, give me your all-mid team.
Well, last year the Rangers only had Corey Seager.
Wilmer Flores played shortstop.
On a World Series winning team.
I'm not on a World Series team. You said World Series team.
He was starting shortstop on the Mets.
You don't want to go to the World Series.
I know. I agree.
Winning it.
I agree.
I have 2 National League. I have 2 championship league championship rings. They suck. It's nothing compared.
You don't bring
to
them
the
out.
World
They're not
Series
here.
ring.
You didn't bring them with you, did you?
I didn't bring them here.
No.
I don't bring any of my rings anywhere. They sit in the.
Yeah, but these are the kind of events sometimes where, like, you know, someone will show up. They've got the World
Stop.
Series ring.
Don't-
yeah, on a
don't do
show.
that.
It's the only time. Like you know, when Big Papi's on a show,
Well,
he'll
I'm not
bring
your
out
guy.
the ring. Yeah.
He'll bring out.
By the
he'll
way,
bring it-
that Royals team was probably one of my favorite teams I've ever seen play baseball.
And it should be. It should have
Yeah.
been. I mean, we just had
That
our
was fun.
10-year anniversary. You
Yeah.
were probably 9 when we were winning.
That's
Like,
prime baseball watching time.
That's prime
Yeah.
baseball watching. Like
Yeah.
I was 13 in 1993 when the Phillies went to the World Series. So that was like my team. So
Yeah.
for you to say that, like it is cool. And that team was legit. Like
yeah.
legit.
I mean, yeah,
legit
you grew up
to
as a
watch.
kid, like loving the game, loving big leaguers, and like just to see the way that like you guys played the game was like extremely fun to watch.
I always say them. I just had the best seat in the house. I sat on the front row. I was like watching. Like I'll be like JJ at BP tomorrow. Just that's
Yeah.
what I did. But
Oh,
I was
I love
on the
BP.
team. I'm like,
Future game BP is the best.
But you were like don't talk about the game on the field, but the explanation of what you said about him when you're having a speech to a team, when you're going through something to a team and you're pointing out, hey, that's the guy I want, talking to everyone else.
yeah. But
Yeah, that's
It's
why
like-
you talk for 3 hours on a show all day. Anyway,
right.
I did want to ask you one other thing about last year. What did you learn from that? Because again, I'm just going to go on a limb, knowing I don't know your career back to when you were 8, but I'm guessing there haven't been a whole lot of years like again you were having to
No.
kind of gut through it.
Yeah, that's the
What
first
did
year I
you
failed.
What did you learn from it?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, like, on the field wise, I learned how to deal with failure. That's really the first time in my life where I failed on a baseball field to that level. Like, I had gone tournaments where I didn't play well, but for me to fail for, like, what it felt like for the whole season, really within and, you know, work on stuff, and I'll just get out of it. And then off the field, I learned how to take care of my body. You know, I learned what I need to do before the game to get ready. I'm out these guys. Because before that too, I never really got hurt. Before the games, I'd barely stretch. I'd go out there, you know, I was 19, and that's not really, you can't sustain that throughout a 162 game season. So, yeah, I think it really helped me a lot. I went down to Florida. I was there back and forth all off season, and just really got to learn about myself.
That's one thing. All you're part of the new wave of minor leagues, like the off season. Okay, not just an expectation, but there's also an availability that, like, hey,
That's so awesome.
that was not the case.
I was on a progressive, like forward-thinking organization with the Blue Jays, and they offered a little bit of that. To me, if you're an organization and you don't offer a place for your players to get better in the offseason, you have that whole facility. If you don't offer that, you're losing out because it helps with injuries. It helps with development. It just keeps you like, hey, Marcelo, you can come on Thursday onto this. Oh, okay. Well, how was that? And it's like you make those
Yeah,
relationships.
I think a big thing with that too, it's awesome for players that like live in like the Northeast or like somewhere where it's super cold, where it's snowing all off season, and they get to go to Florida and it's 90 degrees and you have all the access to whatever you want, all the trainers, you know, all the equipment, traject cage, all that stuff. So yeah, I think it really does make players better being down there.
I got to ask about that. You just mentioned it.
Yeah.
I love the tech too.
Yeah.
What is that like? So you're facing like, does it feel like you're facing a big league pitcher if they put a big league pitcher up there with the tragic?
To me, it's harder. Like, it's harder to hit off that thing than a major league pitcher, which is only going to make the game easier. Because at the end of the day, it's still a machine, and it's still like whatever it is, pixels of whatever a guy throwing at you. And also, that machine takes into consideration like the player's best pitch. So, like, let's say
They don't make mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, let's say Houck, right? Nasty slider. If I put Houck and I want to face Houck on that machine, it's going to be his best slider every time.
Every single time.
Every single time.
That is-
you're only getting better doing that. And they do have a trajectory down in Florida. They have one in AAA. They don't have one in AA. So hopefully when I get to AAA, I'm going to take advantage of it as much as I can.
that's awesome.
It's a really cool thing, and they have a lot of cool tech. They put in that new bio cage.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, it's
like-
ridiculous all the things they have nowadays. It's like
But I feel
even
like
I'm like getting in the cage. I'm like, how do they like even do this?
Did y'all have it?
Not
I'm
like-
guessing that you literally probably played on teams where it's like we got one outdoor cage. You know,
oh man, I'm trying to think if we had anybody that didn't have an indoor cage. Oh wait, the White Sox in the big leagues have an outdoor cage at Comiskey.
No way.
Yeah, true story. But maybe the home team has something.
Yeah.
but no, I mean, so that's the thing that kind of jumps out. It's like you now, to me, your off season is as much about what your season's going to be as your season. It's
Yeah.
not. There is no off season now, right? It's basically you're a professional baseball player. That's the job.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the type of person you are. I think for me personally, I definitely need the break after the season. Like I need to let my body regroup. I gotta, enjoy life for a little bit before I start, swinging again. I think you only have so many swings in you as a human being. So there's no way in hell I'm gonna be swinging the bat 162 days out of the year.
I don't know how Ichiro did it. Ichiro
Yeah,
seriously
crazy.
would take off one day and go back and hit. But again, like it's okay that you're not Ichiro. Like it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's
that
guys who are just baseball rats. Like, for example, Kyle Teal. Funny story. We were in Hartford yesterday, and most of us are thinking like, oh, All-Star break, we're going home. Like, we're going to enjoy the 4 days off, be with our family, be with our friends, chillax, not think about baseball. And Teal comes up to me. He's like, dude, do you think that like they let me go to the facility down in Florida and hit the trajectory for 3 days? And I'm like, bro, that's the last thing I was thinking about right now. And like, he's thinking about going down to Florida during the All-Star break and hitting off the trajectory. Like, yeah, some people just like don't stop and their body can handle it, and others need the break.
and that's good for them. Like even the time off, like you said, like, oh, you're just a professional baseball player. When you truly commit to being a big leaguer, or your hope is to be a big leaguer, everything, all the decisions you make revolve around that. And you don't realize that until you quit. And you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Like,
What do I do now?
Yeah. And that's why some people have a tough time transitioning. But even you being like, bro, I need a dump. Like, I need a brain dump. And the more money you get, you'll start going to cooler places to brain dump.
Yeah.
And doing cooler things. But
Yeah.
like, that's part of training.
Yeah.
If you don't step back, you're going to burn out. Not saying that
couldn't
Kyle
agree
Teal's
more.
going to burn out.
Yeah.
Saying that's good for him, which may not be good for
Yeah. I couldn't
for
agree
you.
more.
Yeah, you played with Bregman, right?
Yeah, I mean for a sack.
Right, but that
I mean,
Same
he
thing.
got
was-
2 in the
he's-
morning. He had
he's
to
the
have
2 in the morning.
Pedroia
People
was
have
that
to
guy.
kick him out, kind of thing. Yeah,
Pedroia
Yeah.
was that guy.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more of like a when I'm at the top, I'm 1%, and then when I'm not there, I do not want to think about baseball, because then I feel like I'm just going to get tired, and then when I'm at the baseball field, I'm going to be thinking of other things.
Don't ever live near the field.
Yeah.
That's how I was. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to be like Kyle Teal is. I couldn't do it. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh. And don't ever aspire to have my career. But I'm saying, like, for everybody, it's different.
Yeah,
Like you sit there and you go, and one year I lived close to the field and I could see the field. I'm like, we're moving. I can't do this.
yeah. I remember.
Like, I see
yeah,
the
our
field.
high A setup was we were literally like 2 seconds away from our field. Like I'd leave the clubhouse 2 seconds. Like people could even see me walk into my like apartment.
Well, that's no good either.
Yeah, like you're too close to field. Like you can't separate the two.
Can you sign?
Yeah.
I'm brushing my teeth. Why are you leaning in my window?
Hey.
Can you sign?
Yeah, we actually had someone break in. Blaze Jordan was my roommate at the time. We had someone break into our apartment. Stole like my baseball glove.
How's Blaze doing?
He's good.
Good?
He's doing well. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
that's
yeah.
oof, that swing is
stealing a glove.
Sick.
Like, come on. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I know. We
That's
had like
ridiculous.
PlayStation 5s there too.
They just
Like,
took the
that's
glove.
And he took the glove.
Oh,
so
my
that's what I'm saying.
gosh.
Like when somebody breaks in and steals from a big leaguer or from a prospect, what are you expecting? Like you think Marcelo Mayer just has like signed things sitting around? Like,
Oh, I'm
great.
going to sign this just in case someone.
If we break in, he signed his foul territory mug.
Yeah.
Let's take it. It'll
Yeah.
be
It's
like,
on his
it's
day.
one of one.
Yeah, we had like the most basic minor league fridge, like maybe like a fruit and like a
Right.
water, and like a PS5 setup. That's pretty much
Who
it.
walks in like, oh, damn.
There's like
Looking
not
for
much
jewelry.
to steal
Yeah.
other than the
They're
PS5.
like, too bad.
Yeah.
Before we had to let
Last
one.
one.
I know you said you're into the food and you're like getting your body right. You're playing in Portland. I would be
Yeah.
remiss if I wouldn't ask, how many sea biscuits have you eaten? Because they sell sea biscuits, which are essentially renamed chip witches. ice cream, chocolate chip cookies. And we used to, in the bullpen, we used to take the BP balls, because you hit the other team's BP balls, and we'd take them and stash them in the bullpen, and then kids would come by, can I have a ball? And we'd be like, can we get a Seabiscuit? And we'd throw them a ball up, and they'd drop us a Seabiscuit.
Wow.
So
That's genius.
have you partaken in the Seabiscuits? Because I know they're in the home clubhouse in Portland.
Too many.
Too many?
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to cheer yourself sometimes. And those things are really good.
Homer Seabiscuit. That would be my
That's
my
a good
advice.
one. That's
Every
good.
Homer you get a
Usually,
Seabiscuit.
it's usually like when I have off, I'll eat a Seabiscuit.
Okay.
So that way I'm just like in the clubhouse.
Yeah,
and
that
like,
makes sense.
yeah.
That's
so
fair.
my dad.
That's
So
fair.
I
Yeah,
have,
you're under day.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Portland as a city, though, it's the food there is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we're super spoiled as a minor league team to be in Portland.
Sleeper. I mean, besides
Never
the
been.
fact that it sucks in April.
Yeah.
But
Cold.
it's
Cold.
cold. It blows in. Snow just like dumps your
Yeah.
anyway. But we gotta let you
Yeah,
go.
a lot of lobster rolls. A lot of
Oh,
lobster
yeah.
rolls.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
you can do.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thanks,
whoopie
guys.
pies.
Hey,
Yeah, well,
awesome
I'm not a
talking
fan,
to you.
but yeah.
Not a fan of whoopie pies?
Nah, too
That's so
sweet.
Cali of you. You just went down on my list. Put him lower on the VA list.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just because neither
Thank
like
you.
whoopie pies.
Great to have you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, that was great. Really great conversation, of course, with Marcelo Mayer from the Boston
He
Red
has put
Sox, one of their top prospects.
He has put on 30 pounds, at least.
And it's not the Seabiscuits.
And it's not,
It's not the sea
it's not the
biscuits.
lobster rolls.
It was the bicep girls.
Yeah,
He's been
exactly.
eating dumbbells.
He's
Oh my
doing it
gosh.
right.
And that's kind of what you're, I mean, again, that's the cool thing about projection is you see a guy in high school and you're like, what is he going to be?
That I feel like that one was pretty easy.
Yeah, that was
He
pretty
should have
big.
been 1-1.
You know,
He should have been 1-1. Everybody who missed on him, shame on you.
What was the top three in that draft
so that was
before him?
Lawler. Meyer went 4. Help Los, you're here.
Uh-oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Someone
No.
Put you on
rescue
the
us.
spot. Rescue us. Jordan Lawler went 1.
No, Jordan Lawler went.
So
draft.
Meyer went 4. Marcelo went 4.
In
I'm blanking now.
2021.
2021.
That would have been no, that was Henry Davis.
Yeah, Henry
Henry
Davis, the
was
catcher,
one.
went 1.
Yeah, they're right.
Jackson Joe, no, not Jackson Joe. I'm mixing classes. It was Lawler, House.
Joe with 3. And then, so yeah. Oh,
No,
Job,
Leiter and
I'll
Rocker.
say. Okay,
Leiter
if
and
you want
Kumar
pitcher,
Rocker.
Yeah.
Job, pitcher versus position
was,
player, but I can see the argument position player.
Shortstop that can play in the big league for 15 years.
You know.
Anyway, I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I'm no JJ.
No, I'm saying like, hey, we always battle this because like Jackson Job's the best pitching prospect in baseball. Paul Skenes he was our number 1. I thought we may never put another pitcher number 1. We did in season by putting Skenes number 1, which I feel pretty good about now. The fact that he's starting that.
Oh, look
But,
at this.
No,
Look
but
at
no,
me.
I don't feel. I mean, like, look, that was easy. He was literally
he
in the
already was
majors.
up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Humble
but what I'm
brag.
saying though is, but the same thing. It is a battle. Like even when we talk about the draft coming up here, you take an arm. There's about 7 more ways that it could go. We've seen it. We've seen time and time again. There are guys taking the first round as pitchers that, especially late in the first round, and then you turn around 4 years later and you realize they've thrown 20 innings. Ethan Hankins.
Yep.
Ethan Hankins, I think, has like 80 innings and he's a 6-year pro. Like it happens. Daniel Espino.
Spino was the other one I was going to say.
Espino, when he's healthy, one of the best pitchers you'll see in minor league baseball. But he hadn't pitched in 2 years now.
Is it harder now because it used to be, wow, Joel Zumaya. I suppose before you, but Joel Zumaya throws 100. I saw him hit 101. Top 10. Like,
Yeah.
is it harder now because there's tons of
There
people
are
on
so
Twitter
many-
that don't have jobs that throw 100 now?
Yeah, I think I think everyone's just throwing harder now too. I was going through our high school pitchers. Like every player on our list is touching 96, 97. It's like everyone trains for velocity. Everyone's throwing hard. If you're touching 91, 92 in high school these days, it feels like you don't throw hard.
Is he hurt?
Yeah,
What's wrong
exactly.
with him?
I mean,
Is he a position player?
that guy's going to college. Nowadays, that guy's going to college.
I think there are still some teams that are going to take a chance. Well, the problem too is I think the biggest thing is there's less time available for you in minor league baseball. You have to move quicker. You have to develop quicker. There's no spots for those projection players. They took away the lower levels. You don't have time.
We're going to get into the mock 6.0. One more quick thing I noticed. I'm not going to say any specifics, but last night there was a social media account that has a pretty good following that posted a famous child of a celebrity human, and they were like, and their kid's throwing 86 junior year in high school. They're like, look out or something. And obviously the comments got flooded. They're like,
yeah.
you're not paying attention to how the game has evolved. Like it was That's all I'm going to say. It was just
a very vague conversation, but I understand.
Do you understand? You saw
totally.
it maybe? Yeah. It kind of went viral for the
Yeah, you're trying to be vague here, rightfully, because you're not trying to dog
I'm
the
not
kid.
trying to. Yeah, it's not about that.
No.
It's just the way that it was phrased made it like already throwing 86 junior year of high school. I'm like,
that's like you hope to maybe get a college offer.
That is
if you're a pitcher, that's when the position
literally
players
like.
are
I mean, I'm in Orlando a lot of the time with AJ. And I think that's probably the average of what those kids are seeing.
Yeah.
Like maybe even below. You know, like for just anybody that they're facing.
We're in
let
Texas
alone
here.
a top
I promise
prospect.
you this. We're here in Texas, top level high school baseball in Texas. I mean, I've got a friend who's got a kid who's high school student now. He's a pitcher, and he's like, there are schools in our area where you're not starting if you're not touched to 90.
Yeah,
I mean,
you got to have a 9.
That's how it is in Florida.
Yeah. Well, you're coaching high school, so you see
but we're
this
in the
stuff.
Northeast.
It's different. I know.
Different
I know.
Northeast.
A little bit different.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little different.
All right, let's
that's
dive
where
in.
the real players.
Well, Peter Flaherty would agree with you. He loves those gritty
Yes, he
Northeastern
does.
grinders.
Yes, he does.
Yes, sir.
Yes, he does.
There's a spot for them, projectable. Okay, so let's go over the 6.0 mock drafts over on baseballamerica.com. Carlos Collazo hustling along with JJ and the rest of the crew there. So give us the lowdown of anything that's changed, anything that stands out, and then people can dive in deeper to the specifics.
Yeah, I think if you're looking for change or clarity at the top, it really feels like the last 3 weeks or so I've been saying the same stuff. Like, no one knows what Cleveland's doing. For me, we have Weatherholt there still. It feels like Weatherholt, Bazana, Condon are the most likely at 1 now. The expectation is that Cleveland, a few hours maybe before they make the pick, will send out some offers and see. I don't think they're going to make their decision until draft day. That's the expectation for a lot of teams picking behind them. The one big thing I think in this mock that illustrates kind of what's happening now is there are teams picking in the 20s, 25 to 30, who are really concerned that they're not going to get college hitters that they like, and they're really concerned about high school hitters, high school pitchers, college pitchers. All the other demographics, all the other profiles have more question marks. So I think in the middle of the first round, we're going to see a lot of college hitters go. Teams are going to be jumping those profiles. I would expect this to be an extremely, extremely heavy college hitter first round.
Can I ask a high-end question
Sure.
first? And this might apply, obviously, to you as well, JJ. Like, what goes down between now and the start of the draft, and even going back a couple weeks? Like, Cleveland's known they have the number 1 pick for, 6 months now?
Yeah.
Some people look at it and they're like, can't you just figure it out right now? You're still deciding?
You don't have leverage 6 months ago.
It has to hit a deadline.
I think, now there are some teams that have expressed frustration when I'm having calls. They're like, I wish they would just kind of figure out who they're taking, let the teams behind you know, so kind of everyone can be more prepared. I think Cleveland is a team that, like you said, leverage. It's a leverage game. The money doesn't really get talked about until very late in the process. Advisors don't want to talk about it until late in the process. Teams don't want to tip their hand on who they might prefer on their board. So it's a lot of leverage games. And again, for Cleveland, if you really do view the top 3 players in the class, like I could see Condon, Bazana, Weatherholt really being in a similar tier. And if you're trying to maximize the talent you can get in this draft, if you think Weatherholt and Bazana are the same caliber of player, one is willing to take $1 million less, maybe that changes the factors for you, depending on how you view the depth of the class. Like if you think you can get a talented player, like just to throw a name out there, like a William Schmidt, who we view as a first-round high school pitcher, if you think you can save money, get a guy you like at 1 that you think is maybe the top talent in the class, and get a better player with your second pick, whereas maybe if you don't do that under slot at 1, you don't get that player. I mean, just comparing your total bonus pool, it's more than just comparing one player to the other player you're considering at 1. It's all of the ripple effects after that, I think.
The thing that jumps out to me about it is about why the teams wait is not that there's not emotion in some way on both sides. If you're picking 1 or 1, 2 or whatever, you want to get that pick right, and it's really important. But you do this every year. The players who are in consideration for 1-1, they only get to do this one time in their life. And so if you said we're going to have 6 weeks to talk it over, to analyze it, well, then it's kind of even on both sides, right? I'm going to have come to a decision about whether I'm willing to take $1 million less or whatever, but it's going to be a long, thought-out decision.
Yeah.
If I hold that off and I say you're going to have 10 minutes to make this decision, that's a lot tougher on the player's side because you only get to do this once. The team drafts every year. The player has a life-changing decision to make, and it's 10 minutes. And that leverage flips to the team because at the end of the day, for one, you want to go 1-1. That's one thing. But for two, to me, as I look at it from the outside, having never had an opportunity to have any of the decision like this, but the other part of it is at the end of the day, it's like, look, you'll probably get more, but I can't guarantee it. Are you going to say no to that? That's where that leverage flips, is that final few minutes where it's like, you've got to make a really quick decision, not you get to consider it for a long time.
Obviously, that bothers me on the team side. I'm sure he's going to feel the same way. Cleveland's never had the number 1 pick, right?
Yep, first time.
Okay, like I get how there's depth to drafts.
Yeah.
But you better nail this. You've never done this before. And it's not, for people to understand, you only get a certain amount of money, right, for your bonus pool that you're able to spend within the draft. But Kratz, like, I'm looking, who is the best player? Are we 500K with this guy versus this guy? Like, you can't, for all of that work and all of the staff we have, we can't delineate between player X and player Y. We're like, they both probably have a 50% chance of being a superstar. Like, that is garbage to me.
Yeah.
Henry Davis, Marcelo Mayer, you just nailed it. Like, I mean, look at this a couple years later, and it's like, no one would make that decision that way now. Like, just to be, nothing against Henry Davis, but if you had the choice right now, you know, like,
they saved money with Henry, right?
$2 million.
Okay,
that's what we're talking about.
So, and I can
$2
look
million.
Probably through who else they picked.
It ended up being like 2 point.
Little over $2 million,
right?
right?
And
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like,
that's the large
just because
example.
it's a point doesn't mean it's a lot of money. It's more money.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'll take the point.
You'll take the point.
I'll take the point.
That's what he's saying. And that is
And ultimately,
tragic.
they could do that on draft day. They could take whoever they think is number 1, just take him, pay him. That could be what it is. The fact that I don't know that or teams behind them don't know that doesn't mean that they're going to. Like, if we find out on signing day, Cleveland's handing out the biggest bonus in the class, like, ultimately they're just going to take the best player. We'll have to see what that is. And that'll be after the draft, too. Like, we're not going to know immediately. But
and I'm completely saying this only from my interaction with the Cleveland organization. It was the Indians at the time. Now it's the Guardians, but it's the same people.
Yeah.
If there's an organization that I would want to see pick first because of how they treat people and not doing that like backdoor dealing stuff, it's Cleveland.
Yeah.
They're going to treat the person right, and they're going to take the best person and player out there because that's how they treat everybody, from coaches to players they release to the cook down in Arizona.
And I know Cleveland's process on the amateur side, they have a high, they really value the in-person meetings, the makeup interviews. So that could be a factor too. You're doing a lot of these meetings late in the process. And all your evaluations are in. You kind of know what your scouts think about the player. You know your grades that you have on the player, what you expect them to do on the field. But I think the meetings, when you're meeting with GMs, when you're meeting with scouting directors, those can really be important. And we've heard, even in the last few weeks or so, players have really moved themselves upwards and downwards in some cases just based on those meetings.
Wow. Yep. That's a good chatter.
I've seen that formula, and it's a really good formula.
Yeah.
It's very weighted on personality for Cleveland.
We'll get into that. We'll have many hours on Sunday night to discuss it. Not Carlos. You can see him on MLB Network on the draft. We have the all version of the draft that we'll have.
The real version. Sorry, Carlos.
Fair.
It's cool. You got a nice smile.
JJ will be great.
JJ's going to be awesome.
There's pros and cons to every stream.
They get the face.
They get the beauty.
Yeah.
You guys get the brains.
The hair looks
you
great.
seem like some Braun, too. So
there's some Braun. Yeah, Carlos is
player,
sneaky taller than you think, too, right? Probably
you?
when you've seen him on.
Is he taller than you?
How tall are you?
Almost 6'2".
I think I'm 6'2", so
All
we're
right,
close.
So, yeah.
Guys, we need to get we get someone else coming on here.
Yeah.
But we need
you
need to have what your height is.
6'2".
It's not.
It's
Thank
6'2".
you. See, say it with your chest.
It's
That's
6'2",
why you're.
and I'm 6'4".
That's why you're going on MLB Network.
Yeah.
That's why you're going on MLB Network.
See,
I'm
JJ's
old
here.
enough that I used to be one, and now I'm another.
See,
That gravity sucks.
See?
It brings you down. All right, Carlos, thank you. Good to see you. Check out all of Carlos's coverage, obviously. Follow him on Twitter. You know the deal. If you're watching this right now, go check out baseballamerica.com, see what's going on, and then we're going to do one more interview before we say goodbye. You got to actually help me with this one if you got the pronunciation down for Ben. We might just ask him when we bring him on, one of the Royals' top prospects, but we'll get some help.
Super easy.
What's
Erik
up, Ben?
Kratz.
I was just going to say, I was like, hey, let's get them help.
Yeah, let's find.
He was asking me, and I'm like, I think I know, but
Let's buy a vow.
yeah.
Where is your
Ben
state
Kudrna
of
joining
origin?
us in
And
one
that
sec.
would've been
Wait,
easier.
hold up. Let's get his mic set up
Yeah,
so the world can hear him.
That would have made it easier for us.
There we go. And now
Part
he's
check.
locked and loaded.
That's why. So, but
Great to have
nobody
Kudrna.
says it right.
We've had a lot of
Kudrna.
position players.
Kudrna.
Kudrna. It's not actually hard.
Kudrna.
What
The N part.
the
Yeah.
DRN together kind of
Yeah.
is a different look.
Man, that has been butchered.
Yeah, every
What's
time.
the worst you've heard?
Come on.
Well, a lot of people think like the R in the end makes an M, so like Kudma always gets it because
Oh,
they
they're
don't
just reading
separate
it as a.
So
That means they need glasses.
it's exactly. Well, it's kind of funny because now whenever I start, my favorite part of a start day is I sit there and wait for the announcer to read off the lineups, and when we get to the pitcher, I'm like, all right, here it comes. I just want to hear. What he's going to say. I know it's not going to be right, but I'd like to hear.
Has anybody just gone and pitching for Ben?
So I've gotten Ben K a couple of times.
Wow.
They'll be like, and now pitching Ben K, and they go Ben K, and I'm like,
That's
well,
lazy.
Okay, I'm calling that out because
That's
that's like,
lazy. That's lazy.
you're not a reliever. I get it. And
There's-
it's like,
yeah.
okay, like
So
I didn't
legit
expect
Royals
this guy.
prospect starting like
not
There
getting
you
ambushed
go.
by the starter.
yeah.
But no, so it's funny. I laugh at it now because I don't think anybody's gotten it right unless you're in the family. So now I just enjoy it, see how bad they can butcher it.
Dude,
and then I
they
usually-
will get it right.
One day.
Kudrna.
Kudrna.
No.
I got it.
No.
No.
Yeah.
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 And trust me, as you continue to pitch, people get names. There's tougher names than yours even,
I
and
can
people
imagine.
figure it out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, let's talk about what's going on here. How's it been? Right. I think you're our last guest of the day.
Okay.
So
Sweet.
so wrap up the event for us. What was the day like for you to obviously get
Have you
in
just
here?
gotten here? Have you been here long?
Yeah.
I just got
This morning?
got here about an hour. No, so I flew out I was supposed to fly out at 11. Got a little delay in Iowa, but it's a 2-hour flight, so it was nice and easy. Got here, got up, checked in, grabbed all my things, kind of making the rounds, but it's been good. Seen some familiar faces walking through out here, catching up with some of the guys I haven't in a while, so it's been good.
Okay, and I know that the hotels and all have improved, but this is not a minor league hotel.
No, this is
Really?
this is a big league hotel.
Yeah.
No, but it's surprisingly we stay in some pretty nice ones. It more depends on the city you stay, I think is kind of the biggest factor. Like in the league I'm in right now, we go to South Bend, which is right by Notre Dame. Cedar Rapids, we're downtown, so like the Doubletree and the A-Loft we stay in, super nice there.
That's not bad. Yeah.
But then you get some towns out like Beloit, Wisconsin, where you're out there, the country inn and suites right by some local diners. So
that
You're
is
speaking
what
his
it,
language.
that is what it used to be. It used to be post game, some Waffle House, some Perkins.
Mm-hmm. It hadn't changed that much. Don't worry.
Okay, good.
No, but they feed them now.
But
they didn't do that.
We
in your
do.
time.
We do
I know,
get pre
I
and
know.
post game, but it's ironic because I'm the same way you are. It's like those small little town hotels where you just crank the AC to 65. You got the morning coffee and the pitchers. That's right up my alley.
You need that. You need that single room unit. You don't want the whole hotel unit.
Mhm.
You want the single room. When it goes only to 65, you're like,
This
trash.
isn't. Yep. Exactly.
You want the one that's
67
it's
here.
got to be.
This is 67 here. I'm like,
Got to keep going.
you're trying
down.
to go down. Sorry, this is what when you live the high life that
Yeah,
you live,
yeah.
JJ. You need to be living in a.
no, I'm normally in the like I said, if I get a Spring Hill, I'm usually doing that.
If you walk into your room from the outside, you know you're going to sleep good.
Yep. Exactly.
You might get jumped in the middle of the night in your
but
room.
you're sleeping good at
but
least.
you're sleeping good on the nights you're not getting kidnapped.
Wow. Tell him what to expect when he gets up to the show one day in the
The
org.
big leagues is
He's-
the best.
Yeah, but specifically
you are.
the Royals.
What do you mean about the Royals?
I was just saying he's going to get to see you. You are an alum.
You're a Royals alum.
Oh,
Yeah.
you mean
That's
in?
the team that
You said in New York.
Oh no, in KC.
In
With the Royals.
KC.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a show. It's a show org.
Oh yeah.
It's a show. Like the way they treat. You don't have a family yet,
Mhm.
but
Absolutely.
the way they treat you like people.
Mm-hmm.
KC is one of my favorite organizations, and maybe I'll be there for some of the alumni nights.
Very
I
good.
mean, not alumni. I just go to celebrate with
Yeah.
the guys that all won the game. and
Absolutely.
I was there to hang out.
There you
were
go.
there.
You were
part
I was,
Yeah,
I was
you
there
were
to hang
part of
out.
it.
I was there
Yeah.
to hang out.
They need
Oh,
that.
absolutely.
I mean, he is part of royalty.
Yeah,
like
that's.
they will talk about that Kansas
Yeah.
City team for
We talk
Maybe
about
not
it
about
every
me,
spring
but
training
about the team.
They
Yeah.
won't talk about that team until
Yes.
you are dead and buried
Yeah.
and beyond.
and beyond. I was about to say, and after. It's a
Yeah.
huge accomplishment.
So, with your kind of path, with your development, where do you feel like again, this is obviously a great validation. It's like, hey, you're going to the futures game, but where do you feel like where you are now compared to when you were an amateur? How are you a better pitcher now?
a lot of different ways. I would say the one thing I learned is how underrated experience is and how much experience helps a guy. And it kind of sounds corny, but like you do start to realize when you start getting years under your belt how much easier things become to kind of pick apart and understand. And I think that was my biggest thing. Like, my stuff has been pretty consistent from day one to now. Obviously the pitchability's gotten better, I think, is one big thing, is you kind of understand how to read hitter swings, and throughout a game you make adjustments, which, coming out of high school, you just throw it down the middle and here you go, hit it if you want, versus you get in pro ball and everybody got, they're all used to seeing 95. So I think the pitchability aspect is obviously taking a big jump. And then I think a little bit of the maturation process on being able to kind of manage the highs and lows and the skids has been huge this year. Because now everything becomes more consistent outing to outing, and the days that you don't have your best stuff are a lot better days than years prior when you don't have your stuff. You give up 8. Now it's like you might not have it, but you get your 6 innings, you only give up 2 that day. So there's been a lot of jumps in areas, but, just seeing the right progression, like you said, kind of a little piece.
So what is it that you could do now that means instead of you give up 8, you give up 2?
I think just being able to understand yourself, where you are that day, what's working, where you're missing, what your stuff is doing, has been my biggest piece. Because it used to be like, if you go out and you can't throw something for strikes, it's like, what do I do now? You kind of lost, versus like now it's, where am I missing with my fastball? Where can I locate it? Where am I missing with my changeup? Do I need to look at, change my eyesight? Same with sliders. So kind of being able to do that pitch to pitch, batter to batter, and inning to inning, it helps you kind of dial it back in and figure out how you're going to get guys out that day, because every day is different on how you're going to get guys out. But being able to do that now is kind of the biggest difference compared to day one, where it's like, if it's not working, you're like, well, what do I do now?
How are you honest with yourself? Because if you're here at the prospect game, futures game, you're better than most players. The league you play in isn't everybody as good as you. How can you be honest with yourself in those situations where you're like, I just punched that dude out? It was an okay pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the sooner you can be honest with yourself and have self-reflection, and I'm the first person, that's how I've always been, just very honest with myself. Like, if I punch a dude out on a heater down the middle, I'll be the first one to admit that that's not going to play at the next level, right? So we got to get back and hit a spot. It does sometimes. So, but that's just how I kind of approach it in terms of kind of always progressing and trying to get better and perfect the craft. But when you can kind of continue to develop and not be satisfied is kind of the way I look at it, versus, if you're throwing everything down the middle and you think you're going to be a Hall of Famer, it's like you get satisfied, you get settled, and that's when all of a sudden things kind of start going like this, versus always just wanting to progress and get better. It's kind of the mentality I take towards it.
One last question I want to ask you, because we're having fun with this one. Who's the teammate on your team that we're not talking enough about? Who's the guy that's on your team that you're like, that guy's a stud?
Well, so I'll give a shout out. So Brett Squires, he is hurt. He just got hurt, unfortunately. So he was an undrafted free agent with us last year. First baseman out of Oklahoma. He's going to be legit. He's a dude. He was undrafted free agent. He was hitting .316 with 9 pumps in his second
and
full year.
Midwest League is not a fun place to hit.
It's a lot of pitcher-friendly ballparks there.
West Michigan's wonderful if you're a pitcher.
Exactly. It's great if you're a pitcher. So, but he's a dude that you kind of talk about, like, work ethic and just kind of how he carries himself and the kind of person that he is. He's one of those guys that you kind of always rely on. You never have to turn your head and say, is he doing the right things? So I've gotten close with him. He's a really good friend of mine now, but he's a dude that you watch him play, and he's one of those guys that just sounds different coming off his bat compared to some other guys where you're like, that's juice. So
that's a great sleeper call. I mean, I know it's not for him, but for the world.
He wrote it down. I like that.
There you go. Yeah. Really good.
I always get in trouble for taking too long here, but I don't really care.
Yeah.
Did you grow up and live in Overland Park your whole life?
No. So I was born in Shawnee Mission, and we lived in Overland Park. Moved to Dallas for 11 years, so I'm right back in the old stomping grounds here.
Okay.
Nice.
For 11 years, what years did you live in Dallas?
So I was 4 months old until I started middle school, whatever age that was.
So were you in Kansas? Were you in Overland Park in 14 and 15?
I was back. So I was So
we were neighbors. That's all I wanted to say.
Okay. There you go. We were on 159th in Quivira, in between Quivira and Schweitzer, right by Mills Farm.
Where's the turf fields?
Well, here, I'm going to let you can ask this because we got to get off.
The
We're getting booted.
There we go. That's fine. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, you can continue this. Awesome to have you on. Thank you, Ben. Appreciate you.
Pleasure.
Good luck. Have fun
wrap
tomorrow.
up saying,
absolutely.
Did you see the look of fear on mine when you said JJ's going to help? I'm the worst pronouncer in the world, and you said JJ could help us on this, and I was just like, oh no. Please don't ask me to
now
tell.
I've learned my lesson.
Now you've learned.
I will take that
for a
responsibility back.
5-hour show.
Yes. Oh, for the draft show.
Yeah.
Especially. Yeah, we'll get that going. All right. Well, let's say bye to the people that have been watching on YouTube. Flip it over this way.
Everybody.
There we go.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone that's been watching on YouTube. We appreciate it. JJ, you want to shout out anyone with the BA fam for putting all this together? This is an awesome setup for prospects.
This is basically the thing that jumps out to me about this is this is one of those things that being in it, it's always I get stressed about it. It's like you want it to be right. You want it to be right for the players coming and all that. And then it happens, and you're like, man, this is fun.
Yeah.
Awesome. And by the way,
awesome.
Thanks. I mean, no offense, Scott, but Erik, thank you, because having someone here who players can look at and honestly be like, you've done it, you know what I'm going through, and only in some cases like I watched you as a kid, because that's awesome. It really does add something to it.
We'll get somebody else next time. We'll get Todd, because they'll be like,
basically
I know who
means
that is.
thanks, Erik, for showing up. But yes, thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks for watching Prospect Pad. It's Hot Sheet. We have Sunday draft coverage, 7 o'clock.
A whole lot.
Yes, a lot of it. Eastern time. We'll be on for hours.